This week's political figure episode goes from the windows to the walls. Tim Walz, the great governor from the great state of Minnesota. Walz was born April 6, 1964 in West Point, Nebraska, but we've forgiven him for that. The son of a high school administrator, he graduated from Butte High School with a class of 25 in 1989. And I thought I went to a small school. He got his bachelor's in social science education from Chadron State College and became an educator in the truest sense of the word. We've all heard that educators don't do it for the money, and we know that that's true. But Tim took that to the next level, accepting his first teaching job at Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota. And then after that, he accepted a teaching job in China with World Teach, all before coming home and getting his master's in educational leadership from the University of Mankato. But if all of that wasn't enough of a life of service already, he also joined the National Guard in 1981 and served in it for 24 years. All the while, Walz is using his time to educate the underprivileged. He's simultaneously serving his country in the truest sense of the word, because what he did for the National Guard was primarily disaster response, helping states that had been affected by floods and tornadoes. After returning to the States, he went to be a teacher at Mankato West High School, where he taught geography and coached football. And then in the summer, he ran Educational Travel Adventures with his wife, an organization that brought juniors and seniors abroad on educational summer trips. Feeling guilty about yourself yet? Because I kind of am. In 2006, he decided to take his community service and do public service and ran for Minnesota's 1st District in the U.S. House of Representatives, becoming one of 4 Democrats in the history of the state to ever represent the district, and then would go on to become one of only 2 Democrats to have ever been elected to more than 1 term in that district. Upon retiring, he was the highest-ranking enlisted soldier to have ever served in Congress. While in the House, he co-sponsored a bill to raise the minimum wage, voted in support of stem cell research, voted against allowing Bush to send more troops to Iraq. He voted to allow Medicare to negotiate pharmaceutical prices. He voted against the TARP bill. He spoke out against bailouts of major corporations. He voted for the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act to get infrastructure built and help get us out of the recession. He advocated for a pay-as-you-go budget bill that would not allow the U.S. to cut taxes or increase spending that would increase the deficit. During his time in the House, Walz basically walked the walk and talked the talk when it came to fighting for his constituents and for the country as a whole. As a result, he received a 100% rating from the Teamsters Union, from Planned Parenthood, from the American Immigration's Lawyer Association, from NOW, and from the ACLU. And he managed to accomplish all of these ratings while being the 7th most bipartisan member of Congress, which is pretty impressive considering there is 435 U.S. representatives. In 2018, Tim ran for governor of Minnesota and won. His first major challenge as governor was the killing of George Floyd in 2020 and the ensuing protests. In June following the murder, he reconvened the Minnesota State Legislature for a special session on police reform, and that session failed to pass anything, so he reconvened them again in July and said, we're going to keep doing this till we get this shit done. And in that session, a major police reform bill finally did get passed. This bill banned the military-style training of police officers, put a limited ban on chokeholds, required officer training on dealing with people with autism and mental illnesses, more comprehensive de-escalation training, an independent unit for investigating fatal police encounters, and the creation of a police officer standards and training board. But Walz's major accomplishments as governor have started this year. In the midterm elections, Walz managed to secure a majority in both houses, and he went to work. He signed the PRO Act, guaranteeing Minnesotans rights to reproductive health care. He signed the Universal School Meals Bill, guaranteeing K-12 kids access to free breakfast and lunch. He set benchmarks to make Minnesota's electrical grid carbon-free by 2040, something which is obviously a very ambitious goal, but at 29%, renewables already make up the largest share of Minnesota's energy production. He signed a bill guaranteeing Minnesotans 12 weeks of paid family and medical leave. He signed a bill making Minnesota an asylum state for LGBTQ+ people and people seeking reproductive care coming from, states that are trying out fascism. Speaking of other states being fashy, Walz made a little free library where every time one of those fascist states bans a book, he puts it in the little free library just as to them. Because only Nazis ban books, and there's nothing better than Walz to remind Nazis what happens when they fuck around. Oof, that joke was a little dark even for me. Fuck it, you can all tear it down later. He signed a bill guaranteeing all Minnesota residents have the right to get a driver's license regardless of their immigration status. In 2022, when we didn't have a full Democratic majority, Walz still managed to get edibles legalized for recreational use. And at the time, he needed Republicans who were against it to sign off on it. And he got them to do this just by giving them the bill. Because they didn't fucking read it. No joke, it got passed, and then Republican Senator Jim Abler said, that doesn't legalize marijuana. We didn't just do that. And they were like, but you signed off on the bill. He was like, I just thought we were fixing some technical things. I didn't actually actually read the bill. See, when people accuse Republicans of being completely and utterly incompetent in governing, Exhibit A. I wonder why they're going bankrupt. Seriously, the Minnesota State Republican Party had $52 in its bank account last month. Anyway, moving on, it didn't end up mattering because in 2023, Walz ended up signing a bill that legalized all recreational marijuana in the state of Minnesota. There's also a healthcare reform bill in the Senate right now that will reduce cost and expand coverage. He signed an omnibus bill that includes $1 billion for affordable housing. A higher speed limited stop rail project just got greenlit that will provide rail transportation from the Twin Cities to Duluth. This will decrease our carbon footprint, decrease congestion, lower traffic accidents and drunk driving. It'll decrease commuting costs and time for rural Minnesotans who commute to the cities for work. It'll allow me to nap on the way home after drinks, dinner, and a late show at the Chanhassen. It's gonna be great. And what's more impressive is Minnesota always runs a balanced budget. We're constitutionally required to do so, and that usually means we have a surplus. Walz has managed to do all of this stuff while still balancing the budget and give a $3 billion tax cut to middle and low income Minnesotans. He managed to do this by raising taxes on corporations that do business overseas and on wealthy Minnesotans who receive dividends over $1 million. Minnesota is always ranked high on the list of top states in the country in just about every metric you want to be ranked high in. But now with these new accomplishments, according to pretty much every standard metric and survey, Minnesota is a top 5 state to live in. Wallet Hub ranks Minnesota as the second best state in the country to live in, and CNBC ranks Minnesota as the 4th best state to live in. But the CNBC one puts New Jersey in 3rd, so clearly somebody made some mistakes. Who the fuck wants to live in Jersey? So with New Jersey disqualified because I say so, we're top 3 in that survey as well. So obviously shit's getting done, and it's getting done right, which makes it all the more funny for us Minnesotans because occasionally you'll see a conservative bumper sticker or billboard that just says Walz failed, which really sounds like more of an appropriate recap for Trump's presidency. But the irony and the willful ignorance is funny because Walz is objectively, by the numbers, one of the most successful governors in U.S. history, and Minnesota is objectively one of the most successful states in the country. And it's funny too because they know this, because despite praising the politics, none of those motherfuckers have moved out to North Dakota. And if they truly believed that it's so bad here and so great over there, I don't know what's holding them back. And there's lots of fucking room for them because nobody lives there. But all suffice to say that with terrible headlines of all the horrific things that are going on around the country every day, it's nice for Minnesotans that we can at least be proud of our home state. And we owe a lot of that pride that we have to Walz.